keep it simple, today's video is going to be just a bit of a hangout. We're going to talk about introversion. If you're an introvert, you'll definitely find some of this relatable, and if you're not, you might find it interesting, so stick around. So get your makeup out, or if you don't want to do your makeup, get a snack, get relaxed, and let's just get started and have a talk. I guess I should explain what an introvert is if you're not aware. Introversion is basically just a personality trait. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that person. I'm an introvert, that's why I'm making this video. It just means that on a scale from like being an extrovert to an introvert, which would be the people who like to be around a lot of people, get energy from being social interaction, introversion is more you being more in your mind, more in your inner world, and being happy with that versus socializing. That doesn't mean that introverts don't like to socialize. I mean, some of us really don't, but you know, introverts do. But they usually like more subdued and like solitary experiences. When it comes to makeup, I think that you can either go the route of really using makeup as your self-expression and going bold and having fun with it, or you might be one of those people who doesn't really like to draw a lot of attention to yourself, so you go for something more subdued. Today I'm gonna lean more into like the shy girl side of things and do a look that I don't normally do. I personally like makeup, so I don't have any problem going bold with it. And being an introvert doesn't mean you're shy. You can be shy and be an introvert, but shy would be more you're afraid to interact or, you know, like intimidated, self-conscious. But you can be an introvert and not be any of those things and be very decent in social situations, but you would just prefer rather not to be there. So I started out with this Revlon Candid foundation, and I'm having so many problems with my camera that I already put it on and was blending it, and my camera just died, and then the card was having issues, so it's like, this was supposed to be my calm, get ready with me that puts me in a relaxing mood and was relaxing for everybody else watching, hopefully. And then behind the scenes, I'm just like super frustrated. So hopefully we can get back into that relaxed zone. I'll quickly go over some signs of introversion, just for anybody who might not be, you know, totally aware, or maybe they're a little bit confused. If being around a lot of people normally drains your energy, you're probably an introvert. If you enjoy solitude, you might be an introvert. If you have a small group of close friends, that's also one of the characteristics of being an introvert. People would usually describe you as quiet and may find you difficult to get to know. Too much stimulation leaves you feeling distracted, unfocused, or, you know, too much time being around other people may leave you feeling drained. You are very self-aware and introspective, and you might be drawn to a job that's more independent. If you have those characteristics, if you have all of them, you probably are an introvert. Being an introvert, I've always found, is kind of a tough journey to go through. When I was a child, I was very, very, very quiet, to the point where my teacher for kindergarten thought that there might be something wrong with me because I just wouldn't talk. I remember I liked doing art and activities by myself, but I was never one to make friends easily. And the sad thing about growing up then, I'm not sure if it's going to be a bit different now, if people are more understanding. That's looking very crusty. If people are more understanding. But back then, growing up, it was always kind of like, what's wrong with you? And being seen as shy or quiet had such a negative connotation, like it's something that you need to grow out of, which I think really led me to struggle throughout my life to kind of accept myself. I always felt like I was weird or that there was something wrong with me because I didn't feel the same way that other kids did. Like I wasn't loud, like I didn't want to be the class clown. I just didn't talk very much, and like I didn't want to be the center of attention. I wasn't like, me, pick me, I have the answer. Like that was the complete opposite of how I went about things. And truthfully, that was just very tough. It was hard for me to grow up like that, just thinking there was something wrong with me. And the thing was that, kids, they're so honest. They'd just be like, how come you never talk? Why don't you talk? And it became this thing to me where, since people had pointed it out so much, it made me feel, self-conscious. Or it was almost like a game to me that if you want me to talk, then I'm not going to talk, Like, you can't just say to somebody, how come you don't talk? And then just expect them to be like, all of a sudden just switch it up and be a complete chatterbox. Like, it just made me not want to talk to them even more. Which was kind of a vicious cycle, because when you're in school, you want to have friends, and it's hard to make friends when you're that much to yourself and you're very quiet. I think people kind of just think you're weird. One thing that I found that kind of happens is sometimes people project their own insecurities onto you. Like, it'll be, well, she's not talking, so she must not like me. Or, she's not talking, so she must be mean. Or as I got older, like, oh, she's a bitch. And it wasn't that. It was just, I'm just not that talkative to begin with. And then knowing, I think once you kind of have that realization that other people think it's weird, it just makes you, I don't know, feel a little bit insecure about it. But it never made me want to change myself or try to be different, because I just honestly couldn't. Like, I wouldn't be able to put the amount of effort in to change my whole personality, because it just wasn't natural to me. I'm a little bit crusty down here, but I think I have to ride with it, because if I try to pick it, it's gonna bleed. And then I'm just gonna have an oozy mess that I'm not gonna be able to cover with makeup, so we'll stick it out. I also find that school and work and a lot of things, just in life in general, kind of favor people who are extroverted. And in my life, the majority of people around me are extroverts. It's funny because my best friend, my brother, my brother's girlfriend, my boyfriend, my former roommate, they're all the same type of Myers-Briggs personality type. 16 Personalities has it. One second. So on 16 Personalities, they're all a version of the campaigner, which is an ENFP. So this is somebody who's extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and prospecting. These people tend to embrace big ideas and actions that reflect their sense of hope and goodwill towards others. Their vibrant energy can flow in many directions. And my personality type is in the same category as them, which is called the Diplomats, but I am the Mediator, which is an INFP, someone who possesses the introverted, intuitive, feeling, and prospective personality traits. These rare personality types tend to be quiet, open-minded, and imaginative, and they apply a caring and creative approach to everything they do. For me, I think that I have to be friends with extroverts because, well, I do have one introvert friend that I just found out about. We made him take this personality test, and apparently he's the same thing as me, which is really cool. But I find that since I'm so quiet myself, it's usually the extroverted people who are drawn to me who have an interest. The people who are like, what's their deal? I'm going to try to crack them. Those are the people who I have kind of always hung out with, because they're the ones who are kind of bold enough to see what's going on with me and talk to me, Like I said earlier, I think a lot of times, especially when I got to my kind of teenage years, it was really hard for me to make friends in high school. I really didn't have any. I had a few just from proximity. Like during the years in elementary school, I was able to make some friends, but we kind of grew apart in high school. Both of my friends, I had about 3, I had a small group of friends. 3, they all really changed a lot while I stayed very much the same, so the way they were living their lives didn't really reflect what I wanted to do. So we kind of just drifted apart, which was really hard because after that, being someone who was so quiet, I couldn't really make friends in high school. The only way that I kind of had friends or somebody to hang out with was by having a boyfriend. And I mean, that was very hard for me to do as well. It was very hard for me to open up, and I was kind of scared of boys and scared to be in a relationship. But I finally did it when I was maybe 17. And it was good, but at school, I just, when you're so introverted and you don't have very many friends, it's just not a fun place to be when it comes to group projects or lunchtime, like who are you going to sit with at lunch? Most of the time, before I had a boyfriend, I would kind of try to hang out with people who I was kind of in a friend group with, but I really did come to a realization that I didn't really like the people I was hanging out with. They just weren't my type of people, and I don't know, there was one point where I kind of just gave up and said that I'd rather just be alone than force these friendships that I didn't really care to have. And I always felt like I was just kind of the one awkwardly there tagging along because nobody really liked me, is how I felt. I don't know if they did or not, but that was just my perception of it. So what I'm saying that is that it can be hard to be an introvert. Like I said, people tend to project their things. I think, well, no, I'm not going to say all people, but insecure people kind of tend to project things onto you if you're really quiet because they're kind of scared themselves, being like, does she hate me? Or they'll just say like, oh, she's not nice, or she's a bitch, or whatever, just judge you. Even though you've never done a single mean thing to them, you've never been negative to them, just by simply being quiet in their presence, they just assume that you hate them, which is tough to overcome, especially for me because I don't have the personality type of, if I think you hate me, I'll try to win you over. I don't do that. I'll go the opposite way of that. I'll be like, oh, you don't like me? Okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna put in any effort for you to try to like me. So that's just done for me there on out, which also doesn't help. It's like a never-ending cycle. And then you get the report cards, you know, you're a good student, but you need to participate more. Or the teachers usually like you because they have no trouble with you. But there's always that one teacher who will just pick on you because you're quiet. They want to break you. They want to get you out of your shell, so to speak. I've definitely had many of those teachers in my time. But I really appreciated the ones who would kind of just leave you alone if they knew you're a good student. And I remember hearing that our brains actually work a little bit differently. I always felt like in school that I couldn't really understand the people who you ask them a question and they automatically have an answer. Like the teacher asks a question and their hands up immediately. Like my brain doesn't work that way. I need time to really absorb it and ponder, and I'll come up with good ideas for sure. But my brain just doesn't work the way of just instantly knowing what I want to say and what I want to do. Coming back to friend groups, I've always just had a few close friends, and it's usually the people who are willing to kind of keep up with me because I'm kind of closed off and hard to get to know. I'm not closed in terms of my emotions. I'm actually a very open book. If you ask me something, I'm not afraid to talk about things and tell you. But it's just a matter of getting me talking to begin with. I think one thing that introverts kind of have to come to terms with is that we are introverts. You know, I think for so many of us, it was difficult growing up, always thinking that there was something wrong or we weren't like other people. And truthfully, we're not like other people. So I think once you come to terms with that and accept who you are, it gets a lot easier. You don't have to feel bad about yourself and bad about how you choose to live your life. I still have insecurities. Probably in dating, this might be hard. What if your new partner wants to meet your friends and you're just like, yeah, I don't have any friends. They just think you're weird, right? Well, that's me. I get insecure when I'm in situations where I know that I should be interacting, and I can do it if I really have to, but I'm usually in situations where I don't really want to. Not that I'm not interested in people at all. It's I don't like to have small talk for the sake of small talk, especially in huge group settings, like at a party or a work gathering. It's a lot of pressure on me. I don't really like being on. You know, I know some people thrive on that, but I just don't. So it's kind of intimidating for me, and somebody like me who I did say introverts don't necessarily have to be shy. I wouldn't say I'm shy, but I'm definitely, I'm very quiet. So sometimes I feel like I haven't practiced social, or it sounds weird to say I didn't get enough practice, but sometimes it feels that way. Like sometimes I don't have it in me to just keep asking questions and keep up a conversation, which is tough because it makes me feel like an asshole, like I don't care about the person I'm talking to, which is not the case at all. I'm not very practiced at it. And I get insecure in situations where I know that, you know, a lot of people do have a lot of friends. So for me, it's kind of things like, like if I was getting married and I don't want to have the typical wedding and the typical, you know, whatnot, but it's just like, I think to myself, who would I even invite to my wedding? Like I have such a small family and I don't even have a huge group of friends. Like I wouldn't be able to have the traditional bridal party where somebody would throw me a party. Like nobody would care. It would probably be like my brother's girlfriend or something. I just don't have that core group of girlfriends. And I think you see that a lot in television and movies. And I wonder if people do have that in real life. I'm sure lots of people do. But you know, I always kind of felt, it's not that I really miss it in my day-to-day life, because I don't. And I think that's what's hard to accept is like, when you're so introverted, you're not gonna have opportunities to make all these friendships because really you're not going to be able to put in the time to kind of nurture them. You're going to cancel plans because you don't want to be out every Friday night. Like you just enjoy being in. I mean, I love going out here or there, but definitely the best I feel is when I'm completely alone. I like hanging out with my family because I feel like I can be the most myself when I'm with my family or my boyfriend. But even with him, there's still kind of a expectation that I have to be a little bit on because I still want to be attractive to him in some way. Like we've been together for a very long time, but you know, I don't want to be completely, I feel like you can never be 100% yourself. So yeah, it's basically in situations where I know that other people have a lot of friends or other people would not really relate to me, or my way of doing something might seem weird. Like I can't imagine me being on a first date and we hit it off, or a few dates later and they're just like, oh, I can't wait to meet your friends, and I don't have like a friend group to introduce them to. I would feel a little bit self-conscious about that. But I think as I've gotten older, now that I know myself, I could just point blank say like, yeah, I'm really introverted. I don't really have a lot of friends. And I think that is definitely a deal breaker for some people. And that's okay because that's their personality type too. They're allowed to feel that way. But I've just found myself in so many awkward positions. Even as an older adult, I don't like to meet new people, you know? I don't like to schmooze. And a lot of times I'll tell myself like, hey, you gotta be on right now. Just make sure like you talk to some people, but when I'm in it, I'm just like, I can't do this. I just really can't do this. And then I'm more self-conscious about people kind of seeing me and viewing me as being weird for just being so quiet and to myself. When I'm not actually upset about being by myself, it's just more of the perception from other people and what they would think about it. It's weird. It's just weird. I obviously put on way too much blush, so I'm gonna try to fix it. I'm just putting a little bit of powder over top. I'm very much through and through an introvert, so being around a lot of people really does drain me. And when I get home, I'm just like, ah, oh, I'm home. I'm back to my place. There's nothing that brings me more joy than being just completely alone. And I like, this is gonna sound really dumb, but I enjoy my opportunity to just think. My personality type is definitely more creative, but doesn't really lend well to being productive. I just enjoy myself the most when I'm able to just kind of, you know, watch some TV, watch some shows, or think and plan. I love to plan. I love to come up with concepts and ideas for things and things that I want to change, but can I ever be productive enough to do them? No. I just don't really need to be very stimulated to have a good time. And truthfully, I don't even really need to have a good time. A good time to me is basically, doing nothing. I love doing nothing. And because I'm selective of when I decide to go out, when I decide to do things, I find that I always get a lot of energy from the things that I do choose to do. And I do have a good time, and I do end up having fun, even though sometimes those situations, are a little much for me. Like, I really enjoy going to a concert. Obviously, with COVID, things have been tough, but I like going to a concert, even though it's gonna stress me out a bit. It's gonna give me some anxiety being around all those people, but I like to go. I like the energy of it. When I come home, I feel so tired but excited at the same time. And that's enough for me. Like, I don't need to have that feeling every weekend, I also kind of noticed that now that I moved, I am around my family a lot and my boyfriend a lot. So it's a little bit of a transition because I've been living alone for years now and further away from them, so I didn't really get to see them as often as I would like. And sometimes I'm just like, damn, I have seen somebody every day this week. I'm like, I need just one day where I don't see anybody. I just chill by myself to feel like me, to feel like totally myself and where I can just relax. And it's not a knock on them. Like, I love them. I like being around them. I've only been back to my hometown for a few months, and it's probably been the best few months that I've had in a very, very long time. It's just been really nice despite all the other horrible shit that's going on in the world. Like I said, once you're able to embrace your personality type, things just get a lot easier. I don't feel bad for who I am anymore, which is really, really nice. It's awful to say that out loud, to say, like, I don't feel bad for who I am anymore. Because so many times I felt like, what is wrong with me? I felt like very held back because I thought I should have been somebody else or something else that I'm just not. Like, I just can't change the way I am or how I feel like that. So being able to embrace it and just be like, this is who I am, having all this understanding for yourself, and not trying to change it, just feels incredible, really. So if you're really quiet, if you think you're an introvert, just remind yourself that it's okay to be an introvert. We don't need everybody to be an extrovert. Imagine if everybody was an extrovert. We need somebody who's actually going to listen, If you're an introvert, let me know. What are some of your favorite activities? What's your hobby? What do you do for fun? My battery really wants to die. Okay, we're back. We're good now. I just feel like my childhood was a painfully awkward time, but I'm glad that that's over. I just remember so many times where, because I was so quiet and I only had maybe a couple of friends that wouldn't always be in your classes, especially when you get to high school, I just found myself in so many awkward positions. Like, I would be happy if the teacher wanted to put us in groups and partner us up rather than letting us pick, because I'm like the one looking around like, damn, wonder if there's anybody left to work with me. This is awkward. I'm the weird one who never talks. It just felt so awkward. Field trips, also painfully awkward. Like, who are you gonna sit beside on the bus? Even when I was in university, I also did like this college program and we went on a trip. And even then I was still like so quiet that I was just like, who am I gonna hang out with? It was a little bit better, but it still kind of brought back those memories of high school. I remember going on a French trip that was just so painfully awkward. Like, I had no friends in the class and we were going to Toronto and seeing this like ballet or something, exploring the city, and you kind of had to go with a group because you had, like, what, are you just gonna wander by yourself around a strange city? And I just had to kind of like cling to people when I didn't want to, because like I couldn't just be alone there, and it just felt so terrible to go up to people who I barely ever talked to and be like, hey, Like, do you think I could hang out with you guys today? It's just like, it was so embarrassing. And like, sometimes I longed for it, like to have those friendships, to be in a group, to be in like a clique, but it just wasn't me, you know? I think if you're younger and you're watching this video, just know that it will get better. You will find friends to hang out with, and if you don't and you choose not to have friends because your personality type, you just like to hang out by yourself, that's fine too. But just know that it will get better. You can build relationships. Some people out there will like you. Because not everybody in the world should be loud and extroverted. Like, we need some quiet people to balance it out. Whew. I think I'm done. I think this is cute. I think this is a very good introverted look. It's very simple. Blush as the contour, blush as the lid, some little shimmer eyeshadows, a bit of mascara, some very simple eyeliner, you know, a little bit of a juicy glossy lip. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you an introvert? What have your struggles been? Do you have like any really funny stories? Some painfully awkward moments? Let me know. Please let me know if you have any topics that you want me to discuss, if you like this video format, anything that you'd like to see coming up soon. And if you're new, please hit that subscribe button or give me a like. That would make my day. Thanks again for watching, and I want you to remember, don't just make up your face, make up your mind too. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.